Hello, here's a request video. I can't even remember who it's from, but what do I think about Colorado? Because that's where I'm at right now. Colorado is my home. I moved here when when I was 6, from Austin, Texas, to Boulder, and then went to college in Durango, and then I lived with my mom intermittently since then. So in Boulder. So Colorado I think is my favorite state in America. It's I guess the eastern third of it would be just flat plains, kind of like Kansas. And I think in the extreme, like in the border between Kansas and Colorado, you can't see the mountains at all. So there's people who live in Colorado, but it might as well be Kansas. But I don't think you have to drive that far in from the border until you can see the mountains. And then Denver I like it. A lot of Europeans who've been there say they don't like it though, because it's on a grid system, more more or less, except for the downtown, which is more diagonally oriented, but which makes it too easy to get around, makes it boring for Europeans who like the confusing, narrow, windy streets. But there's a good view of the big mountains next to Denver. Right next to Denver, there's Mount Evans, which is a 14,000-foot mountain that you can drive a car all the way to the top of and see all the other mountains in Colorado. And then Colorado Springs has their mountain for that too. It's Pikes Peak. You can drive all the way to the top of it. There's even a train that goes all the way to the top of it. I rode my bike all the way to the top of it once from Colorado Springs. It's a nice mountain, another 14,000-foot mountain. Boulder's got our mountain like that too. Long's Peak, but you have to hike to it, and then the top part of it's like this. It's like a pyramid. It's like going up a rock, steep rocky face, and it's pretty technical. For a while, you're kind of like on the edge of a cliff going over, and it's exciting to get up there. And a lot of people go up a sheer cliff because the eastern face of it's just a sheer cliff, like for thousands of feet. It's called the Diamond. Once you get to the top, it's totally flat. Like you could build a town up there. But maybe they should. But yeah, those are the three 14,000-foot mountains on the Front Range. And you can see Long's Peak from Boulder. But you can see the mountains really well from like where I'm at and Longmont. You can see all of them. From Boulder, you're too close. You'd have to kind of go out a little bit just to see a few. But there's some good like hills just outside of Boulder. Boulder is my favorite city in this state because it has the... oh shit! I should turn this fan off. I'm sorry. It sounds so loud in the video. Because it has these flat irons, these giant granite stone slabs that stick like the face of them is like 1,000 feet or something like that. I don't know how long, but they're pretty big. And there's trails up and through them, up over them and stuff. Just for running though, and rock climbing and all that. And they have these special little like black squirrels, and there's squirrels all over Colorado too, the brown ones, and groundhogs. In Boulder we have like groundhog fields all over the place. Pretty cool. But the state has like 50 ski resorts. The biggest is Vail, which is I think it's just a little bit bigger than Mammoth. It's like the same size of Mammoth. So Vail and Mammoth are the two biggest in America, and they're like, I don't know if they're as big as the ones in Europe though. Those ones in Europe that connect are pretty damn big, but as far as like skiing through the trails and stuff, yeah, they're the biggest. Because I think Europe is a lot of treeless. But Colorado's got so much cool stuff. All those ski resorts, and then on the eastern side of Colorado, it has a lot of the geology of Utah, on the far western part. So Colorado's got it all. It's got the plains of Kansas, it's got the mountains, and then it's got a little bit of that cool Utah. And Utah is a great state, man. Sandstone, canyons with rivers, really deep dug, rivers that have dug their way through that sandstone, and red, sandstone, and mountain bike trails all through those, and along the Colorado River. And I think there's a mountain bike trail from Grand Junction to Moab that'd be cool to do one day. But the city itself, the country itself, the state itself has like 54 mountains over 14,000 feet, and which is more than any other state. I think in California there's only 3, Mount Whitney, Mount Shasta. Actually 2, Mount Whitney and Mount Shasta. and only like three on the whole western slope: Mount Whitney, Mount Shasta, and Mount Rainier. So three of them on the western side between all those states, and then we got 54 right here in Colorado, and then a whole bunch of like 13,000 foot mountains. So all the mountains are in Colorado. The highest one is Mount Whitney, though. It's higher than any mountain in Colorado by a couple hundred feet. But there's even hot springs though in Colorado, because like Colorado's a really safe place to be. There's never you know, hurricanes or tornadoes or earthquakes, but we do have hot springs. There's lots of hot springs, lots of wild hot springs too. There's these wild hot springs just outside of Durango, east of Durango, called Pagosa Hot Springs. I think they're on some Pagosa River, right on the edge of the river. And then there's ones that you hike in like 9 miles called Rainbow Hot Springs, right next to the river, right at the base of this Wolf Creek Pass, which is like an hour from Durango, hour and a half from Durango. So there's two within an hour of Durango. There's wild ones. And then there's ones just outside of Durango, like 8 miles outside Durango, that are the paid ones that you go into. And then there's some paid hot springs, some nice ones though, with lots of different pools, and just outside of Ridgeway, and then one in Ouray, which is a town south of Ridgeway. These big ones that are that you go and pay for. And then there's big giant pool hot springs in Idaho Springs with a big water slide. And then if you go outside, all their water dumps into the river, you can go to these wild ones next to the highway. And then there's these hot springs called Conundrum Hot Springs up in the mountains, like between Aspen and Crested Butte, right up at the base of this 14,000 foot mountain called Castle Peak, which I've never climbed, but I've been to the hot springs, and they're like 11,000 feet, right where the trees stop growing, in the middle of nature. Yeah, I'd like to tour all the hot springs. I wonder if there's any more. Those are the ones that I've been to though. So yeah, and then a lot of good mountain biking. The best mountain biking would be in like Crested Butte, a lot of single track, all over Durango. Outside of Boulder, there's mountain biking. There's been a lot of good mountain biking if you go up into the mountains, which I haven't done for years. But and I think you can even ride the Colorado Trail. There's a certain route you can do with bikes down it. They have a race, so that'd be fun to try once. There's even a trail you can do all the way from Canada down to Mexico through the Continental Divide that I'd like to do, and so you'd go through Colorado on that. So let's see. Colorado infrastructure. I think there's Denver has a lot of computer related stuff in Colorado Springs, and Denver they just did some kind of tax deal to try to bring the filmmaking industry. My brother's into cinematography, and he says it's going to be a big filmmaking place in the Front Range. It's really populated. It's one of the fastest growing areas in America, probably. All of the different suburbs of Denver are all starting to connect with each other. You know, Denver and Boulder's pretty much connected with city, and maybe all the way up to Fort Collins. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of new subdivisions here around where I'm in, like Lafayette and stuff. Oh yeah, well, the one cool thing about Colorado is you get the four seasons, distinctly four seasons. The spring, when everything's melting and the rivers are really high, and there's lots of snow on the mountains, and it's nice and warm, and then the summer when it's really nice and hot, and there's all the plants are out, and then the fall when like all the leafy trees all the leaves turn yellow and red, and they all fall. It's beautiful to go through, go on hikes at that time. A lot of big aspen groves that turn color, and all the leaves fall, and it's beautiful. Then the wintertime for the skiing. And there's ski resorts all over Colorado. Like, it doesn't matter where you live, there's going to be one pretty close. The most isolated northerly one is Steamboat Springs. I've never actually skied there, but it's a good... Oh, there's hot springs there, too. You go up from Steamboat Springs. what are they called? Rainbow hot springs, which you pay, but they're wild, right next to the river. And good mountain biking around there too. And yeah, and all up the Front Range. Like Boulder even has a ski resort that's only like half-hour drive from Boulder or less. And there was another one, a ski resort, but I think it was in the Rocky Mountain National Park, so it closed. But when I was a kid, I used to ski there, called Hidden Valley, just up the mountain, up the way from Ida. Oh, I can't remember the name of the little town up there. It's where the hotel from Shining was. Just outside of Boulder. Yeah, a lot of farming in eastern Colorado, and a lot of tourism in the mountains of Colorado. There's also sand dunes in Colorado. Great Sand Dunes National Park. I'd love to go there and run around those sand dunes. It's where I heard it was where they filmed Dune, the movie. And it's right in the base of this mountain called Mount Blanca, which is 14,000 foot mountain, and there's other 14,000 foot mountains around there. It's one of those sacred mountains of the Indians, but yeah, it's kind of, like a Sahara sand dunes. It's cool, biggest ones in America, I think. And then Indian ruins in Mesa Verde down in eastern, southwestern part of Colorado. It's called the Four Corners. It's the southwestern corner of Colorado because like 4 states come together. It's the only place where 4 states come together: Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona. But Colorado also touches Oklahoma on the southern part, and then Wyoming on the east, and Kansas on the north. So I guess it touches like 5 states. And 6 states. Wow. I think it's one of the bigger states in America. It's one of those big square ones. Created maybe like 1860 or something. The Ute Indians lived here. That's what they got the name from Utah from. And then we have little names of towns around here named after tribes like Left Hand and Niwot, or maybe those were chiefs. I don't know. But yeah. Colorado's a cool place. They legalized marijuana, and I guess the legalization of marijuana law is better here than California, than Washington, because those are the 2 states that legalize it. So you can grow 6 plants yourself, and supposedly maybe sometime you'll be able to go in the store. I heard they were gonna try to have it ready for people to go in the store and get it by the beginning of 2014. It'd be scuzzy if they draw it out. Like somebody else said, like maybe like 2016. It'd be scummy of those Nazis to draw it out longer than that. So yeah, that's what I think about Colorado. Cool place, man. Come over here and smoke weed. Next law, let people smoke weed outside and drink beers outside like they do in Europe. Okay, peace out.